Interesting facts about writers collected 40 unusual facts about the life and work of different writers. The material includes Byron's Monkeys, Hemingway's 9 Lives, Balzac's Coffee Addiction, and Edgar Allan Poe's Cemetery Arithmetic. William Shakespeare and Cervantes died on the same day, April 23, 1616. George Byron loved animals so much that he bought himself monkeys, a crocodile, a horse, a parrot, and even a badger. Charles Dickens, as a child, worked in a wax factory. He made his money by putting labels on jars. Oscar Wilde hated the work of Charles Dickens. But New Yorkers discussed the works of Dickens on every corner and eagerly awaited the continuation of favorite stories. Ernest Hemingway has been called the legendary man. He had been in 5 wars, survived 4 car accidents and 2 plane crashes. The writer was afraid of appearances in front of large audiences and did not like to listen to the praise of enthusiastic readers. Balzac began his working day with coffee only. He drank up to 50 cups of strong drink a day or chewed coffee beans. The father of the detective genre, Edgar Allan Poe, taught math in a cemetery as a child. The teacher took the boys between the monuments to calculate how many years lived dead. The fact was that the school where he studied the future writer was so poor that they could not provide textbooks. It is said that in the future, this was the reason for the choice of the genre of horror by the writer. Lewis Carroll is the pseudonym of Charles Dodgson. The author of the famous Alice in Wonderland was a deacon and also a talented inventor. He himself assembled a tricycle, an electric pen, and invented his own system for memorizing numbers. His books were the first in the world to be signed on the spine. Samuel Langhorne Clemens' pseudonym, Mark Twain, was borrowed from maritime studies. Mark Twain refers to the minimum depth available for ships to navigate the river. Other literary pseudonyms included the Variance Tramp, Josh, and Adrastus Blab. Tolkien slept in the bathtub so that his snoring would not interfere with his wife's rest. Agatha Christie could not write with a pen. She dictated her works on a dictaphone. James Joyce, author of postmodern stream of consciousness novels, was terrified of dogs. William Faulkner, author of The Noise and the Fury, moonlighted as a letter carrier until he learned that most letters ended up in the trash. Jack London is the first American to make $1 million from writing. Interestingly, the father of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle, believed in fairies. Gogol did not like to be photographed. When he was put in front of the camera, he would start to wriggle or cover his face. This was the reason that in some homes Gogol became an unwelcome guest at events. With Chekhov's move to Yalta, his female admirers also moved to the Crimea. They followed the writer in the hope of attracting attention. These women were called Antonovoks. Frank Baum's The Amazing Wizard of Oz might have been unknown to the Russian reader, if not for Alexander Volkov, a math teacher. Studying English, he decided to translate the book for his children. Seeing the children's delight, the Russian writer created a peculiar transposition of the work The Wizard of Oz. The Harry Potter novels were out of print for 3 whole years. Publishers believed that no one would read books with such a plot. But in 1995, thanks to a small publisher, Bloomsbury, a story with a famous hero was born. Alexander Sergeyevich Pushkin as a child was blonde. This is evidenced by the memories of his contemporaries. The writer lost his white curls because of a severe fever. After the illness they were shaved off, and the new hair grew darker. After the release of 30 Years of Woman Honoré de Balzac, the expression Age of Balzac. That's how women are called no older than 40 years old. In the Grimm fairy tales, almost all of the negative characters are women. They play the roles of witches and evil stepmothers. The novel The 10 Negroes by Agatha Christie, in many countries because of political correctness, is published under the title, And No One Is Gone. It's about the children's story that underlies the novel. The last Negro looked tired, and there was no one. John Rule Tolkien's novel The Hobbit did not appear for readers. The writer did not originally plan to publish, dedicating the book to his sons. He became so involved with the story that he began to draw illustrations. For some time the book was handed down in manuscript form. Incidentally, Tolkien was a professor at Oxford University. Nikolai Gogol adored needlework. He embroidered handkerchiefs and vests. And he wrote his works exclusively standing up. Gogol invented one of the first attractions. Under his leadership, a windmill was turned into a Ferris wheel for children. However, very soon this entertainment was covered by the reviser. Jan Fleming studied the world of birds in detail. His ornithological knowledge manifested itself in a book about the famous character James Bond. The American Bond was so fond of birds that he even created his own guidebook, The Birds of the West Indies. English author Barbara Cartland wrote 26 novels in 1 year and 723 books in her lifetime. She was listed in the Guinness Book of World Records as the most prolific author. Jonathan Swift, in Gulliver's Travels, indicated the exact size and rate of rotation of satellites 100 years before scientists discovered it. Alexandre Dumas founded the first French kebab shop. He borrowed the kebab recipe from the Caucasian peoples when he traveled. Dumas also wrote his own great cookbook. Entrepreneur Timothy Dexter wrote a work for the amusement of clever minds, consisting of 20 pages of text without a single punctuation mark. The author suggested to the indignant readers to place the punctuation marks at their own discretion. The word robot first appeared in the books of the Czech fiction writer Karel Čapek. Books published under the name of Dumas are attributed to Alexander Pushkin. As if the Russian classic did not die at all, but initiated his death, and then escaped and began to write chivalrous novels. In the second part of The Adventures of Robinson, the main character travels through Russia to get to Europe. In the story, Robinson has the misfortune to crash ship again off the coast of Southeast Asia. An interesting fact is that the sequel describes the winter in Tobolsk. French novelist Georges Perec wrote the novel La Disparition without a single letter E. The fact is that this letter is the most popular letter in the French language. Translators had to puzzle over how to translate the novel without a single letter into Russian. Alexander Kuprin, once he inhaled a new perfume, could name all the ingredients exactly. Arthur Conan Doyle's mother said he had no right to kill Sherlock Holmes. The writer heeded the advice and let his hero live. Charles Dickens believed that you should sleep with your head facing north because it improves your writing ability. Before going to bed, he would check his location with a compass. Pushkin was complexed because of the tall stature of his wife. She was higher by as much as 10 centimeters, so on public appearances, Alexander Sergeyevich kept his distance. Gabriel Garcia Marquez made the film adaptation of his book 100 Years of Solitude virtually impossible. He set conditions under which the novel had to be filmed from the first to the last page. 1 chapter per year could be released with a running time of 2 minutes. New films must be released for 100 years.